Hello and welcome to this exciting Love Reading for Kids Author Event. I'm Amy McKay and I'm delighted to be joined today by Catherine Cawthorne. Hi Catherine.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet
So
you.
we are going to be discussing Catherine's hilarious new picture book. It's called Oh No Flow and it is published by Templar Books on the 27th of March. I'm looking at Catherine. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Look at this. I've been so excited to talk to you because I just adore this book. It's so much fun and it's one that I know I'm going to be recommending to a lot of people for a long time. But I know I am at the moment one of the honoured few because not everyone else will have been able to read it yet. So I wondered if you could start us off by introducing us to Flo and your book.
Yeah, sure.
Thank
So, Oh No Flow is, I wrote the words to the book and then Mike Byrne did the pictures. It's all about a very lovely, kind sheepdog called Flo. She lives on a farm and she loves the farmer and she especially loves getting tummy rubs. But although she's always trying to help, she sometimes gets in a bit of a muddle. So I was going to read you some of the beginning of the story to introduce you to Flo and to Farmer and to some of the other animals that live on the farm.
Excellent, thank you.
Let's try and hold it so you can see it. Farmer loved looking after her animals. Every day, of every week, of every month, of every year. Farmer did all the jobs that needed to be done, and she did them just right. But most of all, Farmer loved looking after Flo, and she always gave the best tummy rubs. Except one morning when Flo went to find breakfast, there was no food, no tummy rub, and no Farmer. Where was she? And what was that awful noise? Achoo! Oh no, if Farmer needed to stay in bed, who would run the farm? Luckily, Flo knew just the dog for the job. Ta-da! Farmer Flo to the rescue. But what does Farmer actually do all day? Apart from give tummy rubs, of course. Poor Flo couldn't remember. She decided to ask the others for some help. Moo, milk the cow. Honk, sow the corn. Wank, feed the pig. Slither, water the cabbages. Neigh, brush the horse. Boing, pull up the carrots. Bah, shear the sheep. Cluck, cluck, collect the eggs. Meow, stroke the cat. And I'll leave you to find out whether Flo remembers all those instructions or whether she makes a big mess.
Excellent, thank you. I feel like you must have quite a lot of storytelling experience in your background. That was lovely. And yeah, absolutely. For those who haven't read all of it yet, you now need to find out what Flo does because it just gets funnier and funnier. It's a marvellous book. And it's actually your fourth book, is that correct?
That's right, yes.
But it's your first fully fictional picture book.
Yeah, so the others are a kind of a mixture of fiction and facts.
Okay.
And this one is a pure silly story.
Oh, and was there a lot more freedom in writing just fiction rather than having to concentrate on facts?
I don't think so particularly. With fact books, you've kind of almost got a frame that you're working with, whereas picture books, you can go anywhere. So in a way, it is quite different, but you've kind of almost got more options which way to go with it.
Yeah, but I suppose in a way then that's almost harder to like have a clear path where you're going to head and
Yeah.
what you do and don't include.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I'm writing non-fiction, I might write it out of order and work on this page. Whereas with a picture book, you kind of got to understand the flow going through.
Have you always wanted to be an author? Is this like dream come true territory?
Yes, it is. So when I was at primary school, I used to write a lot of stories, and I used to write jointly with my best friend at the time, and we wrote loads together. And then I think when I got older, I kind of lost that a little bit for a while. And then when I started reading children's books with my children, it kind of all came back again, and I started writing again. So it's taken a long time to get there, but yes, I think it's always been there somewhere.
How old are your children now?
Oh, they're teenagers now, so
Right.
this is so I started writing a little while ago.
Okay.
But it was that really kind of got me back into, oh yes, I love this, and I want to do this.
Yeah, they are the absolute best books, aren't they? Books for children are, by far the most exciting and creative books on the market.
Absolutely.
I asked about your children, just wondering like what their reaction to mum all of a sudden being author is. But I suppose they might be a bit old for Flo now.
They're a little bit old for Flo, but they do appreciate it, and they laugh at it actually, because I'm a bit of a Flo myself. Right. So they can see mum in the.
They recognise her. You're going to have to put them in a book as well and see if they recognise themselves. That would be fun. You mentioned your best friend there. Does she know now? Are you still in touch? Does she know that actually you made it?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. No, that would be funny though, to kind of go back and say this is what led.
I actually did it. Yeah, I love those stories of the paths everyone has to their career and to their writing, and all the little things that maybe as a child you don't realise are all contributing to who you're going to become. Yeah,
talking of that, I found this that I wanted to show you. So this book, it's called Smoke and Fluff, and it's the first book that I remember anyone reading to me. It was my grandmother's book, and I looked earlier today, and it was published in 1942 and cost 18p.
Wow,
I'm not that old. No. And she read it to me and my brothers and my cousins, and it's about two sort of naughty little kittens that get up to mischief and make a mess, and at the end the mum forgives them, and they're happy together. And I thought this morning, there's a bit of a Flo story in there. So you never know what the things are when you're little that kind of then might influence your thinking when you're
those things that just stick in the back of your mind.
And you don't even know they're there.
Oh, excellent. Were there any other authors or books that really, really inspired you?
I think another sort of childhood one that's really influenced me is Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
So my dad used to read Winnie the Pooh to me. We all still love Winnie the Pooh in my family, and we used to have a cassette, which I expect most of your viewers won't know what that is, but a little kind of tape that you listen to music or to stories on, that we used to play in the car of the Winnie the Pooh stories. So I've listened to them so many times, but I think those characters have stayed with me for a long time. And actually, Flo a little bit reminds me of Winnie the Pooh sometimes. So
I was just thinking that there is something about Flo as a character. She's like this classic character that we could all recognise straight away. She feels like an old friend, even as you just first reading the book.
And that kind of sort of innocent kindness, but also not always being aware of what you're doing, is quite Winnie the Pooh, I would say.
Absolutely, completely inept, but so kind and eager to help.
Yeah,
she's a lovely character. Really, really nice. You mentioned, or we talked about there, the difference between fiction and non-fiction, and I always think with picture books there's this misconception really that because it's so few words it's really easy to do, whereas those of us who have much to do with books realise that actually it's probably the hardest job there is, to create a full story and a full character and a connection with the audience with so few words is such a challenge. How do you approach that process?
I sort of have an initial thing of just get any old thing down.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get your first go at a story is never going to be very good, and you have to kind of accept that and think, no, I'm just going to write something, and then I've got something to work with. And it might take a lot of different drafts. So I looked back at my first drafts of Oh No, Flow, and actually this one started with the idea, really. So I thought it'd be really funny to have a book where a character got given a whole load of things to do and muddled them all up, and that was the kind of initial thought. And I didn't have the character of Flo.
Okay.
So I think the first draft, it was someone that worked on the farm, a human that worked on the farm, and I had one with the cat bossing everybody around, and it took quite a few goes to get, no, this is who should be doing it, and this is the character that will be doing it. But you can't, well, I certainly can't get there unless I've just splurged some words first and then honed it down. And then I guess the other thing is with picture books, I write sort of everything that comes into my head, and then you go back through and you think, well, there's going to be a picture about this. I don't need to say this because it will be there in the pictures. Yeah. So you can cut down a lot of what you've said through using the illustrations to make those points. So you really every word you use in a picture book has to be doing something.
And when it then comes to the pictures being created, do you, those words that you've not included but you know what you want to be said on that page, do you then have that conversation with the illustrator?
Not so much. I mean, you try and give only what they really need to know, so that they've got the freedom to kind of bring their own ideas and creativity to the book. Yeah. I think a lot of picture book authors have quite a clear image in their mind of what they're writing. I'm actually a very words person, so in my head I don't have this clear picture of what it's going to look like. Right. So for me to then see an illustration is like magic, because I haven't really had that in my head. It's like, yes, that's what it was.
That must be so exciting then, that all of a sudden someone's created what's in your head.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't really quite know what that is until I see it, and then like, yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
That's it. And did you and the illustrator, did you know each other beforehand, or were you put together for this book? Yeah,
we were put together for the book. We've met now, but we hadn't met before. And what they normally do is do some sort of black and white sketches that you see, so that you can say, oh yes, that's kind of what I was imagining, or you know. And Mike was amazing, and the first things I saw, I thought, yes, you get this, you get who Flo is, you get the importance of, you know, all the other stuff going on in the background. You know, he has added in lots of funny little details, so it was brilliant to see it come alive.
Yeah, there are, I mean, it's full of details, and I think it's one of those books that young readers will really, really enjoy going through and tracking all the different animals and seeing what goes on. My favourite, I'm just going to hold it up a little bit, is, you mentioned before, the cat.
Yeah.
And the cat is just, now I have a very, very grumpy cat at home who doesn't not look like this one with those eyebrows. Was that your inclusion, because you mentioned the cat earlier, or has Mike created the cat completely?
Yeah, no, so I thought I really like picture books where you've got some stuff going on that is never really talked about in the words. And I really wanted this cat to be in each scene, kind of grumpily commenting on what's going on. So I had that was one of the few things I did write in my kind of illustration notes. You know, there's a cat doing whatever. But then Mike took that and gave it the most amazing eyebrows and incredible expressions and kind of brought that whole idea to life. So it was something I wanted. I wanted this other almost like another storyline going on with the cat. And then obviously he's taken that and just absolutely smashed it.
It's just incredible. I'm going to, without telling you what happens to the cat, if you just see towards the back, the expressions are just perfect. And I love then that you knew the cat was going to be there all the way through. That's such a nice partnership.
Yeah. And I think the cat, you know, if you've got this dog who has such a lovely relationship with the owner and, you know, is always getting all the tummy rubs, that cat's going to be a bit jealous.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, we know what cats are like. That cat is not going to be happy with this daft dog.
Yeah. So this is the kind of natural character that I think would be there.
Yeah, I think you're right, definitely. Is there any chance that we might see the cat in its own story at some point?
I don't know. I've got a couple of farmyard ideas in my head. So I'm hoping that maybe there'll be another farm-based bit of chaos.
Excellent, in the future. Good. I really hope so, because I'd like to see the cat really come into the front, and deserves it after having to tolerate Flo.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another thing that I really, really liked is that the farmer's a woman. And as I first started reading, you know, we all have these, the unconscious bias and, you know, gender perceptions and that sort of thing. Was that a deliberate move for you to have a female farmer?
So that's an interesting question. So when I wrote the book initially, I thought it'd be nice to make the farmer a woman because most farmers, I think, that you see represented in books are the kind of old MacDonald
chewing on the straw,
with a straw. But I really wanted Flo to be female, and I thought, maybe I shouldn't make both my main characters female. Maybe I should have one. So in the end, I wrote Farmer as a man.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when Templar first gave me some comments back, one of the first ones was, what do you think about making Farmer a woman? And I thought, amazing, because that's actually what I wanted to do all along, but I just changed it. So as soon as they said that, I was like, oh yes, that's the green light to do that. And I'm really glad that they did, because I think it's worked really well.
Yeah, I think it really does. I think that relationship with Flo, it really, like, you can feel the love coming through. But I just think for you readers as well, I work in a secondary school and we have a really big farming community around us. And I know we've got so many girls that are interested in farming or who work and live on farms. And as you say, they're not often seen. I mean, a little bit more now than they might have been 10 years ago. But I really think this book will be so special to them that you've included them and they've been seen. It's superb. It really is.
Yeah, and it's, you know, representation is so important, and people are thinking about it a lot more, but there's still things like that, sort of classic professions maybe that aren't always represented in that way. So I think it's a really positive thing.
Yeah, I do. I was delighted to see it. At the start, you mentioned in your dedication, I'm just trying to find it now. You talk about the real life Flo, a lovely sheepdog who lived on a real farm in Heartland, Devon. I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about the real life Flo.
Yeah, well, so when I was really little girl, so from when I was a baby to I think about 6 or 7, every summer holiday we would go for a couple of weeks to stay on a farm in Devon, and it was this amazing place on a cliff overlooking the sea, and we would stay in one half of the farmhouse, and then the farmer and his family were in the other half, but their pets would just wander around wherever they liked,
as they do.
So I didn't have any pets when I was a child. So for me, this was amazing, having, you know, just cats wandering in and out, and, you know, and they had a sheepdog called Flo, and she was just a very gentle, warm dog, and she would just come up and you could just stroke her. She might put her head in your lap. And for me, I think because I didn't have animals at home, that was really special to me. So I've got these really fond memories of that farm, and particularly of Flo. So it was just really nice to put her into a book.
Oh, that's lovely. And they are so special, aren't they? It's a relationship like no other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was my first sort of experience of that. So it was really special. Yeah.
Excellent. Do you have any animals now?
I've got 2 guinea pigs.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Cheerio and Pickle.
Called what, sorry?
Cheerio and Pickle.
Excellent. But they're fantastic name.
And they're very lovely.
Oh, yeah. Very, but possibly not quite as daft as Flo, our sheepdog.
No, maybe not quite as daft.
Or as helpful.
No, I'm not at all helpful.
Now, I know that, like me, you have an alter ego and you was also work in a school.
Mm-hmm.
I just wondered, do your students know about, your life as a big author, and have they seen the book? Do you talk to them about it?
Not very much. It's a bit sort of Clark Kent Superman.
Okay.
But a few of them know, especially sometimes the English teachers say to me, oh, this person's really interested in creative writing, or wanting to know what to do with some of the students write poetry. Yeah. So I've talked to some of the students about what I do in my other life. But most of them, I don't think, have any idea. I work in the secondary school, so they're a little bit older than the people that my books are aimed at.
Right, okay. You see, you're obviously a lot nicer than me, because if it was me, I'd be threatening to put them in a book if they didn't behave themselves. But
yeah, maybe I should start doing that.
Yeah. I'll get you. Oh, it's fantastic. So you mentioned there creative writing and helping some of your students, and I know a lot of our audience will also be aspiring authors. I wondered if you've got any tips for them about how to approach that.
I think my first thing would be just read loads, because you can't write well unless you have read some good writing, and different sorts of writing, maybe from what you would do. So read absolutely anything and everything, and find what you find joy in. I love a funny book. I feel like there needs to be more laughter in the world. Yeah. So for me, funny books are often the thing that I'm drawn to, although I do like to have a really good cry at a book as well. Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing is, I think some people think there's some sort of magic thing that makes you a good writer, but really it's like anything else. Like, you wouldn't expect to be great at football if you didn't play a lot of football. Mm-hmm. So I think with writing, it's just actually write whatever you like, and write any old thing, and don't worry about whether it's any good or not. You just get better with everything that you do. And it's just it's practicing a skill like anything else, just like cooking or sport, maths, whatever. You've just got to do lots of it, and that will help you. And I suppose the other thing that lots of people worry about is whether they need to know good spelling, or whether you know what a verb is, or a fronted adverbial, or any of those things.
Still don't know.
Doesn't matter at all. And in fact, I think something that I've really seen from writing books is I write the words, and in this case Mike drew the pictures, but there's a whole team of people that make a book, and there'll be a designer who works out where everything's going to go on the page and how it will flow, and there'll be an editor who looks at, you've used this word already before, do you think you could do this here? And there's someone that will check your spellings. So none of that should stop you or make you worried. It's just whether you enjoy making stories and having ideas that's the important thing.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. I'm sure that there's a lot of really, really good advice there for some of our aspiring authors. Can I just point out as well, if anyone was listening and picked up on it, that as I started discussing school, then the school bell went behind me. It's almost like I set it up. I didn't, but that happened. You mentioned there about some of the books that you like to read, and you like funny books and sometimes books that make you sad. And then I was wondering, Flo is obviously a very clever dog. She might get things wrong, but she's still very clever for a sheepdog. And obviously, all the cleverest people are readers.
Of
So
course.
I wondered, what sort of books would Flo's favourites be?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a think about this. So I've
Okay.
got a few ideas. So
She-
one thing I think she would love, it's not a picture book, it's a little bit older,
Okay.
is, do you know these chapter books?
Yeah.
Diary of a Pig.
Yes, I love Pig.
So they're very funny. They're set on a farm,
Yeah.
and all the animals get up to some absolutely daft things. I think she would really enjoy those. I also think she'd like a series of books called Percy the Park Keeper. They're some picture books about a group of animals. They're kind of woodland animals, you know,
Yeah.
you've got your fox and your hedgehog and your squirrel. They all live in a park, and Percy is the kind of gardener that looks after the park. So they're really, again, like Flo, very warm, gentle kind of books, where often the animals get into a bit of a scrape and Percy sorts them out.
Yes, he
So I
does.
think she'd really enjoy that. And I thought she would like Oi Cat.
Oh, yeah, that's favorite. Yeah.
Obviously, there's a dog and a cat in that, and the cat ends up having to sit on the gnats,
Yeah.
whereas the dog he comes off okay.
Grumpy
So I
Triumph.
guess you
Yeah.
might enjoy that.
Yeah, and another grumpy cat as well.
And another grumpy
Yeah.
cat.
Flo will be very used to that. It's lovely because I really do have now this image of Flo curled up in front of a flat fire, reading a books and chuckling along.
Yes.
It's so funny with picture books when you really, really enjoy a character and they almost come to life in your head, and
Yeah,
it's like you know them.
Yeah.
And I like that still happens even as adults. It's not unique to a child's imagination. We can all do it if we let ourselves.
Absolutely. And I found myself so fond of her.
Yeah.
You know, over time of writing her and then seeing her come alive in the pictures. And she's very like special now.
Yeah, it's lovely. You mentioned that you've got a few other farmyard ideas and there might be some future fiascos. I wondered before we finish if you can tell us anything, what we can expect next from you. What should we be excited about?
So I think the next book I have coming out is a sequel to another book I wrote, Big Bad Wolf Investigates Fairy Tales. So
Yeah.
that was all about the kind of science of traditional fairy tales.
Yeah.
So I've now got Big Bad Wolf investigates Greek myths.
Ooh, I mean, I love the fairy tales one. I really, really, it's
Thank
such
you.
a clever concept and so unique to the market. We've not seen it before, and it really, really brought that science to life. So that's exciting.
So that with the same illustrator, Sarah Ogilvie, that will be coming out, I think, next year.
Excellent.
So I've just been working on that, and I have another book coming out a little bit after that. That's going to be about a kind of fact and fiction about what it will be like to live on the moon base.
Oh, that's interesting. I imagine there's quite a lot of research involved in all of that.
Yeah, so I've got my husband works in the space industry, so he's been very helpful with this. And there should be humans going back to the moon in the next 2 or 3 years. So I think this book will be really exciting.
Yeah, nice and timely as well. How exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds great. Well, we'll look out for those, definitely. And I'll keep hoping that we get more from Grumpy Cat as well. Catherine, we are pretty much out of time. Thank you so much for giving your time to talk to me today. It's been absolutely fantastic. Your book is a real treasure, and I can't wait for other people to discover it and to fall in love with it and to really, really laugh and giggle at all of Flo's disasters, because I know they will. I know this is going to be a favourite for a long time to come.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.